Welcome to another Northampton Area Public Library craft video. Today we will be making cookie cutter bird feeders. But first, here are some other upcoming adult programs. We have Fandom Valentines. You can sign up to receive a kit to create your own Baby Yoda Valentine. This program is for teens in grades 6 through 12 and adults, and pickup begins Monday, February 8th. Registration is required to receive the supplies. We also will have Schitt's Creek Trivia on Friday, February 26th at 7 on Zoom. Grab your Jazz-a-Gals from the comfort of your own home and test your knowledge of the town of Schitt's Creek. Program is for adults only and it's up to 4 people per team. Registration is required. Okay, so we're going to get started. The supplies you're going to need are as follows. So if you registered and you received the kit, you will end up with about 4 cups of birdseed, a few bits of twine to hang the birdseed cookie cutters. You'll have a pack of a little plastic container of gelatin. You'll have a few toothpicks. And you'll also receive cookie cutters. You're going to get 2 cookie cutters. You'll also need, for this craft, you're going to need a bowl. You'll need some measuring cups, a spoon to mix it. You're going to need water. And you're also going to need a parchment paper cookie sheet to be able to put it on. So the first step is you're going to put your cookie cutters onto the baking sheet. Now, depending on how much this makes, you might need more than just the 2 cookie cutters. So we'll see when we get there. If you have any cookie cutters laying around, it doesn't really matter what shape they are. So we'll see when we get there. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is you need a half cup of cold water. And you're going to put that into the bowl first. Just a half cup. Then you're going to put your gelatin and mix it in with the cold water. You're going to mix that and make sure you dissolve all of that. And it might be helpful to have a whisk. So it's gonna kind of take on the consistency of looking like applesauce, which is fine because we're gonna be adding more water. So while you're doing this, you wanna have about a half a cup of water on the stove and bring it to a simmer. And we're gonna be adding that to this concoction once that is ready. Okay, so once your water is simmering, you want to take that off the stove, and then you're going to measure. Again, you need about a half a cup. So we're going to mix that in with what we already created and mix those 2 together. Again, whisk them together. And please be careful, obviously, when measuring out boiling water. Okay, that looks pretty good. So next, you're going to mix in your 2 cups of birdseed. So you were given probably closer to 4 cups of birdseed, so please measure it out so you have the right ratio. There's 1. And 2. So we're gonna mix that and check out the consistency, because this should not be runny. It should be more scoopable, which if it's runny, that's okay. We can add more birdseed to it. It really depends on what type of birdseed you use. So we're definitely gonna need more birdseed for this. So we're gonna put in another cup. So this will be 3 cups now. And hopefully that lets it firm up a little bit more. So your mixture should be wet, but not runny. Really mix that together. That's looking a lot better. Okay, so it's still a little watery. So I'm gonna go ahead and put this in the fridge for about 20 minutes to a half hour to let it form up a little bit. And then we will do the next step and put it into the cookie cutters. So we'll be back in a little bit. Okay, so I only needed to leave the mixture in the fridge for about 10 minutes, and it's already at the consistency that we want. And you see how there's no leftover water in it, and it is scoopable. So as long as the complete mixture is still, it's all wet, but there's no running water to it, then that's the correct consistency. So remember what we ended up doing is we mixed in 2 cups of birdseed, and that didn't seem like enough, so I put 1 more cup. So it was 1 part water, 3 parts birdseed, and then putting it in the fridge for 10 minutes, mixing it halfway through at 5 minutes. That seemed to do the trick. Okay, so the next step is we're going to scoop the birdseed into the cookie cutters. Again, you're probably gonna have more birdseed than cookie cutters, so if you have extra cookie cutters around the house, you can use them up just so that you know, can make more. And you really want to press the mixture down into the cookie cutter so that there's no air pockets. So that's pretty full. So now, this is when your toothpicks come in handy. You need to make a hole so that the twine you have somewhere to go. So just make a little hole, kind of towards the middle, towards one at the top, but in the middle you want to make sure you have enough space at the top so it doesn't break. And that should do it. Okay? So all you're gonna do is you're going to fill all of them, and then I'll tell you what to do next. Okay, so I filled the 3 cookie cutters that I have, and now I found what I had laying around the house just so I use up more of the mixture. So you can do the same. And don't forget, you need to put a hole in all of them to make sure you can get the twine through at the end of your project. You need to make sure it goes all the way through the back. Okay, so they are complete now. This is as far as you can go. You need them to set now. So they definitely need to set for a few hours. I would possibly even recommend letting them sit overnight. And you do have to turn them over once during that time. So I'm going to set them aside and we will check back on them tomorrow. Okay, so you should have let them sit for a long time. I let mine sit overnight, so they've almost sat now for almost 20 hours. And you really need to make sure and check both sides and make sure that they don't feel wet at all, that they just, that they feel ready to come out. So they should not feel wet. So what we're gonna do now is we're gonna slide them out of the cookie cutter. While they were sitting overnight, at one point you should have definitely flipped them over so that both sides dried out. All right, so now you're gonna gently push them, and you're gonna lose some pieces, which is fine. You're gonna gently push them out of the cookie cutter. So let's do that first. Okay, so they are all out. They are all out of their cookie cutters. Surprisingly, the larger ones seem to have held together better than the smaller ones. So like with anything, it's a learning process. So the next part of what you're gonna do is you're gonna take your twine. It may already be pre-cut for you depending on which bag you ended up with. You're gonna cut your twine as long as you want it. And then you're just gonna feed the twine, the jute through your cookie cutter. Okay, so after having a little bit of problems with them breaking while stringing them, you really need to make sure that when you're pushing them open, if they start to fall apart, they need more time to set. So you have to be very patient with them. So I definitely recommend letting them sit for about at least 24 hours to a little bit more, just to make sure they are completely set. You can also put them in the freezer to help you make sure they're definitely solid when you try to take them out of the cookie cutters, because I had problems with that. But anyway, so here's one that actually stayed together and it looks pretty good. So all you need to do is you feed the string through the hole, and that's another part. You need to make sure the hole is more towards the middle. There needs to be enough clearance to make sure it holds itself, so that it doesn't break. Okay, so you just pull that, and then you're all done. You hang it out on outside on any tree, like at parks and things of that nature. Thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed this Northampton Area Public Library craft video, and check back next month. Thank you.